Hey, it's David. Today we're going to talk about the cost of living in Austin and the surrounding areas and what it really takes financially to live in such a great spot. We love everything about the city, including the parks and the rivers and the lakes and the entertainment, great restaurants, all sorts of wonderful benefits of the city, but at what cost? So let's take a minute to dive in, and we're going to go through some of the basics and give you our thoughts on it and let us know what you think about Austin's cost of living. Austin has had some explosive growth over the years. We had a big boom in the late 90s, early 2000s. That kind of tapered off 9, 10, 11. And then again, we started seeing a really massive increase in population after COVID started, right? We had lockdown. People discovered they could work remotely, and we had a huge influx of people here. That's tapered off quite a bit in the actual Austin metro, but outlying areas are still growing at a pretty good clip. 3 of the counties in our metro area, Williamson, Hayes, and Travis, are the very highly populated counties. Of those, Williamson County continues to experience large growth, as does Hayes, whereas Travis County's a decline in growth. And the interesting thing is, with national migration into the town, into the city and the county, it's going down. International migration, right? People coming from other parts of the world to Austin to live and to work and to take advantage of our job opportunities, education, and so forth has gone up. So it's an interesting thing to think about how Austin has shifted from a small, sleepy town to a college town, to a college and tech town, and now to an international attraction for both our educational resources and our job opportunities. So let's talk about housing, right? Austin was in the papers throughout COVID for having just incredible appreciation. And it's true, we did have a very steep appreciation of property. So let's talk about housing cost. Austin was at the top of all the headlines for a long time during COVID about the appreciation increase, cost of living around housing, and that sort of thing. And a lot of that had to do with people moving here quickly because they'd heard how great Austin is. Well, that's slowed down a little bit, and that's been reflected in the current median home prices. In Austin, the median home price right now, as of July 23, is about $600,000. And then in the metro area, surrounding market, it's about $469,000. So the median price in Austin's gone down from $669 last year to $600. And then down a little bit to $469 in the surrounding areas. Less decline in home values in the surrounding areas, largely because it's a more affordable cost of living, so people are moving into those areas. Leander, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Hayes, Buda and Kyle, all sorts of great places, close to Austin, minutes commute-wise, with a little bit better cost of living, so those home prices have remained more stable. Now, home pricing in Austin is still solid and increasing, and we're seeing an annual appreciation rate right now of around 2%. And that's okay. I don't think it's going to be long till we get back on the track of 4 to 6%, but that's a whole other topic we'll cover in another video. For those interested in renting in Austin, you're in luck. Rents have gone down a bit over the past year. In 2023, the average rent for a 3-bedroom house was about $2,200. In 2024, it's about $1,900 and change, $1,950 or so. So we're seeing a slight pullback on the cost of leasing in Austin, and renters are getting more for that cost. So cost of living wise in Austin, it's gone down a little bit for rentals, which is really great. And it's allowing a lot of people to come here, test the waters, get comfortable with an area they want to live in before moving there, and then also find out what it is they like about Austin, why they're probably going to want to stay. Everyone talks about property taxes in Texas, and it's true. They are expensive. We're in the top 10 in the United States in terms of rates, but we're on the lower side in terms of the state. Austin's got an average tax rate of about 1.7% for their property taxes. To me, that's pretty good, right? But in other parts of the country, I look at Arkansas, and it's just massively different. So if you're thinking of moving here and you're thinking of buying a property, keep in mind our property taxes are quite a bit higher than the national average, but that's balanced with no state income tax. So what's it going to cost to live here, right? What do you need to power your home, for sewer and water, for trash services and that sort of thing? Well, we're below the national average here, which is pretty great. And a lot of that has to do with a lower fuel cost here in Texas. We have natural gas and we have oil refineries throughout the state, mostly along the coast, but we have a really good infrastructure getting it wherever it needs to go, reducing those prices. And that's reflected in our monthly utilities spend, which is usually about $170 for the whole kit and caboodle, everything combined. So nationally, that's a little bit lower, which is great. And that'll help your pocketbook when you're living here in Austin. You can expect to spend about $380 per person on groceries for a month. That's not insignificant, but there's ways to get more value depending on where you shop. We have a lot of big box stores here that provide bulk items for a lot less. And then we also have plenty of specialty shops that provides much smaller portions of fancier meats and nuts, and that's going to cost you quite a bit more. If you're going to be eating fast food in Austin, you're probably going to spend between $10 and $12 for lunch, and for breakfast, maybe $6 to $8, depending on what you get. I prefer Whataburger in my morning breakfast with a large unsweet iced tea is about $6.50. Not bad. If you're going to take the family out to a casual restaurant for dinner or go on a date or hang out with friends at one of the local casual fare restaurants or counter service, you're probably going to spend about $16 a person, unless you get a pint of beer. A domestic pint of beer here is going to be around $6 and goes up quite a bit quickly when you get into more specialty lagers and that sort of thing. And as you're getting around town to go to your fast food restaurant or your casual spot or to grab a beer or get groceries, what's that going to cost you? Well, if you're taking the bus system here, it's about $45 for a monthly bus pass. It's great. It gets you all around the city. It's not as quick as your own vehicle or some other cities with subways and such, but it gets the job done. And we do have light rail that's growing in our city, so that's helping out quite a bit. Our average fuel cost right now for gasoline is around $3 to $3.05, which is pretty good. Again, we're lower than the national average here because of our proximity to many refineries along the coast, which pays off when it comes to how much it's going to cost to get from A to B. And here in Texas and Austin, which is no different than anywhere else, there's a lot of driving your own vehicle to get to and from work, run errands, and that sort of thing, because we're still building up our transportation infrastructure for public use. One of the things that people always ask about in our line of business is childcare. How much is it going to cost to put my kid into preschool or daycare and so forth? So what's it going to cost to have your child in daycare or preschool here in Austin? Well, before you get into the public school system, it's likely going to run you about $1,500 a month to have daycare for your child. It is not inexpensive, and it's one of the larger items that'll hit your pocketbook every month. And then as you get into the public school systems, of course, the property taxes will cover that educational cost. But if you're looking to send your child to a private school in Austin, it's going to run from about $12,000 on the lower end all the way up to $28,000 to $30,000 through high school on the higher end. It's some great educational options, both in the private and the public sectors of education. But if you're going to go private or independent, as we say a lot of times now, it is going to be an expensive endeavor and one that you want to make sure you're getting your value out of. From a healthcare perspective, which is important for all of us, we're about 3% higher than the rest of Texas, but about 2% under the national average for the healthcare cost for an employed worker whose employer provides healthcare. Austin is a wonderful place to live. Is it the cheapest place in the United States? It is not. Is it the most expensive? No. Is there a lot of benefits to living here with quality of life? Absolutely. If you want to know more about Austin and the quality of life and the cost to live here, let us know or leave a comment below and we'll be happy to get back to you. In the meantime, subscribe, like, and check us out. Thanks.